30 relating to Bobwhite quail recovery area to create a wild Bobwhite quail recovery area surrounding the Letterkenny Army Depot in Greene Township, Franklin County. To maximize the likelihood of successful reintroduction, it is important to avoid any harvest mortality on the reintroduced population, as well as potential negative genetic effects from interbreeding with captive reared Bobwhites. Implementation of a Bobwhite quail recovery area will provide important protections and facilitate dispersal and expansion of the reintroduced Bobwhite quail population. The text is shown on page 3 of your agenda.
Second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing no discussion, can we have a vote, Mr. Secretary?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The next item concerns adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code Section 147.672 relating to definitions, to expand the application of the term private land to lands where the hunting rights have been leased and where a fee has been charged for hunting. This amendment will effectively expand the meaning of the term private land to include lands otherwise previously ineligible for participation in the DMAP program. The text is shown on page 5 of your agenda.
May I have a motion for approval?
Motion so moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing no discussion, Mr. Secretary, may we have a vote, please?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The next item appearing on page 6 of your agenda is for the adoption to amend 58 PA Code Section 141.45 relating to turkey seasons to eliminate the use of shotguns and muzzleloaders that project single projectile ammunition during the fall turkey seasons. The text is shown on page 7 through 8 of your agenda.
May I have a motion for approval?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, any discussion? I'd like to say one thing. This is just to make it very simple for people to understand that in the fall turkey season, we're only allowing shotguns and archery equipment. That's it. Mr. Secretary, would you like to call for a vote, please?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the next item appears on page 9 of your agenda related to management plans. This is for the American marten reintroduction. The American marten, Martes americana, is a fur bearer once commonly found in portions of Pennsylvania, but extirpated from the Commonwealth in the early 1900s due to deforestation and unregulated harvest. In accordance with Goal 1.3A of the Pennsylvania Game Commission Strategic Plan for 2020 through 2023, the Bureau of Wildlife Management has completed an assessment of the feasibility of reintroducing this native species. The feasibility assessment considered current habitat suitability, future climatic impacts, interactions with other species, and public opinion, and concluded that marten reintroduction would likely be successful and would be an appropriate next step in the Commission's history of species restoration efforts within the Commonwealth. The Bureau of Wildlife Management is requesting that the Board of Game Commissioners approve the concept of reintroducing American marten to Pennsylvania and authorize staff to proceed with the development of a reintroduction and management plan to guide this process.
May I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I'd like to just point out that this is not implementation of the reintroduction at this point. It's just further research and public outreach on the matter, just for clarification.
Right. In other words, it's not a vote to actually reintroduce martens to Pennsylvania, but rather just to have the staff take a look at the next steps and develop a reintroduction and management plan. All right. This plan would include specific details on reintroduction locations, reintroduction partners, research and evaluation plans, communications, and importantly, a period of public comment prior to the Board of Commissioners vote in June of 2023, in other words, an entire year from now. May we call for a vote, Mr. Secretary?
Mr. President, I have something I'd like to add to your statement. I'd like to caution the general public. It seems as though social media has picked up on the publication of our agenda and has spun this issue as a finally adopted thing. Right before I left the house in Pittsburgh at 5 a.m., it was on Channel 11, 5 o'clock news in the morning, and it was portrayed on the news as though this was a final deal and already done. So, they had video and everything. So I'd just like to caution everybody that is indeed not the case. As Mike Mitrick said, this is simply an approval to the Bureau of Wildlife Management to bring forth a plan. That's it. And so be careful of what you see and hear on the news media. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments before we call for a vote? All right, Mr. Secretary.
Okay. All those in favor? Say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The next item, appearing on page 10 of your agenda, is from the Bureau of Wildlife Protection. This item concerns proposed rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code, Section 131.2. As the nature of its name implies, a muzzle-loading firearm is by definition a firearm designed to have its loose ammunition components loaded from the muzzle. In this instance, the ammunition components refer to the combination of the loose or pelletized black powder or black powder substitute and the projectile or projectiles. Recent developments in the firearms industry have generated muzzle-loading firearms that can accommodate the loading of a captured powder charge similar to a cartridge, casing, or shell that is loaded from the breech, with the projectile or projectiles remaining to be loaded from the muzzle. Current regulations specifically prohibit muzzleloaders that accept cartridge ammunition. However, this restriction was originally intended to restrict modern firearms that are loaded by a cartridge or casing that contains both the powder and the projectile. The Commission does not intend or desire for this restriction to apply to the above-described muzzleloaders. The Commission is proposing to amend Section 131.2 relating to definitions to permit muzzle-loading firearms that allow a cartridge of loose or pelletized black powder or black powder substitute to be loaded from the breech while the projectile remains loaded from the muzzle to be used as a muzzle-loading firearm. The text is shown on pages 10 through 11 of your agenda.
Call for a motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. President, I'd like to point out again that caution the general public and our consumptive supporters that this is a proposed rulemaking. So should the commission approve this at this point, it's still subject to discussion and public input, and I would encourage everybody to let us know how you feel on this issue.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, Mr. Secretary, would you call for a vote, please?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The next item appears on page 12 of your agenda and concerns adopted rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code, Section 141.4 and Appendix G relating to hunting hours to replace the current hunting hours and migratory bird hunting hours tables to accurately reflect the dates and hours of legal hunting for the 2022 through 2023 hunting trapping license year. The Commission also amended Section 141.4 to delete the closure of open hunting hours for all other wild birds and wild mammals during the overlap with the regular firearms deer seasons. The remainder of the proposed changes to Section 141.4 are non-substantive housekeeping edits to improve the organization and clarity of the text. The text is shown on pages 13 through 15 of your agenda.
May I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, could you call for a vote, please?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And moving to page 16, there's an amendment to 58 PA Code, Section 147.305, relating to wild capture and transportation permits, to require that a permit holder submit a monthly report to the Commission documenting the species and quantity of all wildlife captured or transported, the location where the wildlife is captured, the location where the wildlife is transported to, and the disposition of deceased wildlife. The text is shown on page 17 of your agenda.
May I have a motion for approval, please?
I move.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Call for a vote, please.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And turning to page 18 of your agenda, an amendment to 58 PA Code Sections 147.726 and 147.728 relating to operation and unlawful acts, to authorize nuisance wildlife control operators to collect and properly dispose of deer carcasses from roadways and private property with or without a fee. The text is shown on page 19 of your agenda.
Call for a motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, would you call for a vote, please?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Turning to page 20 of your agenda, there's a proposal from the Bureau of Wildlife Habitat Management. This is for proposed rulemaking to amend 58 PA Code, Sections 131.2, 135.181, and 135.182. The Commission manages the use and operation of the shooting ranges located on State Game Land Number 176, in part under the provisions of Section 135.182 relating to ranges, State Game Land Number 176. The Commission manages the use and operation of the remainder of its 33 shooting ranges located on state game lands across the Commonwealth under the various provisions of Section 135.181 relating to rifle and handgun ranges. The Commission has reviewed this split regulatory structure and determined that the days and hours of operation and range reservation periods unique to the shooting ranges at State Game Land 176 are no longer necessary. The elimination of the text in Section 135.182 that is unique to State Game Land 176 will revert the management of the use and operation of the shooting ranges at this location entirely to the general provisions of Section 135.181, which have been statewide application. This will result in a number of changes that are largely beneficial to users of the State Game Land 176 shooting ranges. As it relates to the eliminated paragraph 1, users will see an expansion in open shooting days to now include Mondays and Tuesdays, but will also see hours of operation on Sundays restricted to 12 noon to sunset, except those specifically designated as being open from 8 a.m. to sunset. While certainly a change to the regulatory text, the Commission does not believe that a change will be observed by users of the shooting ranges at State Game Land 176, as the Commission itself has not followed these unique days and hours of operation language for approximately 8 years. As it relates to the eliminated paragraph 2, users will see the calendar window of opportunity for groups or organizations to reserve a range reduced from year-round to January 1st through October 1st. In replacement of the eliminated text addressed above, the Commission is proposing to insert new shotgun range regulations that will be specific to the unique needs of these types of ranges, not properly addressed by other existing regulations. The Commission currently only has a few ranges designated specifically as shotgun ranges. However, the Commission intends to establish more ranges soon due to their increasing popularity and use. The proposed changes will set forth the types of firearms, ammunition, and targets that may be used on shotgun ranges. The proposed changes will also establish the standards for use of these shotgun ranges to help ensure that users of the ranges, as well as other persons and property in the vicinity of these ranges, are protected from harm or injury. These changes will also protect the significant investment the Commission has put into constructing the current and future facilities. The Commission is proposing to amend Sections 131.2, 131.181, and 135.182 to eliminate the outdated and unnecessary text unique to State Game Land 176 and replace it with new statewide shotgun range regulations for both claybird ranges and shotgun patterning ranges. The text is shown on pages 21 through 24 of your agenda.
May I have a motion, please, for approval?
Second?
Any discussion on a motion?
Can I get clarification on number 8 on page 23, the last sentence?
Mr. President, if I may, I'd like to point out a couple things on this. Several years ago, we charged staff with regulation simplification, and, this is just another example of how the staff is working hard to eliminate redundant regulations and simplify the language and everything, and at the same time, find ways to accommodate our shooting constituents. And I'm really pleased that we're making these accommodations for people who are shotgun enthusiasts, and, it's an extremely important part of the process to be able to pattern your shotgun somewhere, to become proficient with it to the point where you can be an effective taker of game. So I commend the staff, the executive office, thank you very much. It's another move toward regulation simplification and providing additional opportunities for our public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you call for a vote, please?
Yes, sir. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
The next item before the Commission is shown on page 25 of your agenda. It's from the Bureau of Wildlife Habitat Management concerning a real estate exchange. Contract number L3796, State Game Land number 91, Luzerne County, and State Game Land number 40, Carbon County. Raceway Holdings LLC is offering to participate in an exchange of 240 more or less acres of land in Bear Creek Township, Luzerne County, adjoining State Game Land number 91 and Pinchot State Forest, as shown on Exhibit Red 1 on page 26 of your agenda, in exchange for a 2.63 more or less acres portion of State Game Land number 40 in East Side Borough, Carbon County, as shown on Exhibit Red 2 on page 27 of your agenda. Based on an appraisal of the property, Raceway Holdings will provide $85,000 toward the acquisition of the 240 more or less acres. The Commission will provide an additional $169,000 lump sum from the Game Commission's restricted account, representing funds from third-party commitments for compensation of habitat and recreational losses, which occurred on state game lands from previously approved projects. Acquisitions using this restricted account may exceed $400 per acre. The acquisition of the 240 more or less acres is being made possible through the efforts of the Nature Conservancy, who has applied for supplementary funding from the Open Space Institute and the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources C2P2 grant program. Covenants, conditions, and restrictions associated with these grants will be required to accept the property. Staff has determined that the portion of the 240 more or less acres to be conveyed to the Commission by Raceway Holdings LLC is of greater value than the land to be conveyed to Raceway Holdings LLC, and that the proposed exchange is in the best interest of the Commission.
May I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Discussion. I'd like to say that this is a huge, huge win for the Game Commission, that the piece of property that we're transferring is basically land that is absolutely not of any value to the commission. So we're gaining 240 acres in a very prime area, and I really think it's a big win. Any other comments? Call for a vote, please.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
If you would move to page 28 of your agenda, there's a coal bed methane cooperative agreement, Loyal Hannah Estate, Westmoreland County. Kingston Gas LLC of Wexford, Pennsylvania requests that the Commission offer its coal bed methane gas ownership under the Commission's Loyal Hannah Estate Mineral Reserve for development. The Loyal Hannah Estate Mineral Reserve was a gift from the Loyal Hannah Coal and Coke Company, deeded to the Commission in December 1969. The mineral reserve area contains no surface land under Commission ownership. The proposed tract, containing approximately 1,500 acres, is located in Derry and Unity Townships and Latrobe Borough, Westmoreland County, and is more clearly shown on the attached exhibit OGM 1 on page 29 of your agenda. Kingston Gas LLC has acquired the majority of privately held coal reserves contiguous to this area. It is the staff's conclusion that this arrangement, negotiated with Kingston Gas LLC, affords the only opportunity for the Commission to recover coal bed methane gas reserves. In exchange for the 5-year coal bed methane gas agreement, Kingston Gas LLC agrees to pay the Commission a 15% royalty rate for all gas produced and sold from the leased premises. Further, Kingston Gas LLC will pay the Commission $5 per acre rental upon the execution of the lease agreement. Coal bed methane gas development will be regulated by the Commonwealth's oil and gas regulations and the Commission's standard oil-gas agreement. The lease will not impact any Commission surface-owned lands.
Call for motion, please.
I move.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, would you call for a vote, please?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And moving to page 30 of your agenda, there is proposed a non-surface use oil and gas cooperative agreement, Tract 223A22, State Game Land Number 223 in Greene County. Greylock Production LLC, or Greylock, has requested the Commission offer its oil and gas rights under a portion of State Game Land Number 223 for non-surface use development. The proposed tract, containing approximately 140.11 surface acres, or 140.11 oil and gas acres, is located in Greene Township, Greene County, as shown on Exhibit OGM 2 on page 31 of your agenda. Greylock has a strong privately owned oil-gas lease position surrounding this portion of State Game Land Number 223, has initiated unconventional well drilling and development in the vicinity of the proposed tract, and has the ability to unitize and develop the Commission's oil and gas reserves under the proposed tract by horizontal drilling with no surface use or disturbance to the game land. The OGM staff has negotiated the proposed terms of the agreement with Greylock to prudently develop the Commission's oil and gas reserves and simultaneously protect the wildlife resources and recreational use of State Game Land Number 223. The terms of the agreement are a 5-year paid-up non-surface use oil and gas agreement, a $4,000 per net oil and gas acre bonus payment, an 18% royalty for all oil or gas and other liquids or condensates produced and sold from the proposed tract. The bonus payment of approximately $560,440 may be deposited either into the game fund or the Commission's restricted revenue account to be used for the future purchase of wildlife habitats, lands, or other uses incidental to hunting, fur taking, and wildlife resource management. Future rentals and royalties owed the Commission shall be deposited into the game fund. Oil and gas development will be regulated by the Commonwealth's oil and gas regulations and the Commission's non-surface use oil and gas cooperative agreement.
May I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Secretary, would you call for a vote, please?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And, Mr. President, that completes the written portion of this agenda for today.
Okay. The next commission meeting will be on September 23rd and 24th. Is there any, in Harrisburg, is there any new business?
Mr. President, I have a couple items under new business, if I may.
Yes, please.
I would like to request staff to develop language that eliminates the individual hunter purchase limit of antlerless license in all WMUs. Based on information provided by staff during yesterday's presentation, which, by the way, was outstanding as far as I'm concerned, and from what I heard from the other commissioners feel the same way, this change will have limited effect on most of the state, but it will allow dedicated and effective hunters in developed areas to take more antlerless deer. There's not enough time for this change to occur for this hunting season, but it could be changed prior to next year. So again, I'm requesting for staff to develop language that eliminates that individual hunter purchase limit of antlerless licenses statewide. And I'd like to thank the Bureau of Wildlife Management and the biologists for putting the time in to come up with that recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Frederick. We'll look into that.
Okay. And another item that I have is the use of DMAP by our agency. One of the keys to maintaining healthy wildlife populations are managing quality wildlife habitats. Pennsylvania's Deer Management Assistance Program, better known as DMAP, has been successfully used to focus hunter effort and antlerless harvest to address local deer browse impact concerns. DMAP allows additional means for landowners to manage deer to meet their land use goals and provides additional opportunities to the hunters who participate in the program. As the Pennsylvania Game Commission's policy is currently written, state game lands are not eligible for DMAP. As a result, localized browse impacts on our game lands can't be mitigated when habitat management activities are being implemented. Other state and federal agencies are currently using DMAP to achieve better habitat management results. It requires an intensive management plan be submitted along with their application that outlines the justification and the problem. It has been the Game Commission's policy to not allow game lands to be eligible for DMAP with the exception of CWD DMAP units. No regulation change would be required to implement a policy change to allow the use of DMAP on state game lands. Therefore, I am asking the Bureau of Wildlife Management to develop a white paper and recommended policy change language.
Yes, sir, we'd be happy to do that. We'll work with Wildlife Habitat Management as well. They've done a lot of background on this already, so we appreciate that, and we'll look into it and report back.
Okay, Matthew, thank you very much.
You bet.
I have one request as well regarding urine attractants. Given the continued increase in the spread and prevalence of CWD in the Commonwealth and the information regarding risks of attractant use that was presented yesterday, and incidentally, it was a very excellent presentation, I feel that additional actions are needed. I would like to request the staff to develop language for a more comprehensive regulation on the use of deer attractants.
Absolutely, Commissioner Mitrix, we appreciate you guys taking this disease seriously, and we'll look into that and report back to you next commission meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Any other new business?
I would just like to go back to Denny's first item, the antlerless deer license. Just to clarify for the public that's here today and anyone who might be listening, you're asking for them to revert to 2020, not anything new or different, just back to the way it was prior, correct?
Yeah, Haley, but, I guess what needs to be mentioned is this was something that was asked for by some of our constituents to try, because there were some people that felt that some people were buying an exceptional number of tags. So when we went to the system, what happened was, because of the timing of the sale, some people who could use the tags because of timing couldn't get them. So basically what it boils down to is we tried a new system. It didn't work. The numbers weren't huge, but nevertheless, there were some people who wanted to get tags and use the tags, and they couldn't get them. So people who had access to properties ended up, basically the data that I looked at said that, some of those people that had access to properties were only able to get about half the tags that they normally got, and therefore only harvested about half the deer that they normally did. Again, that number's small, but nevertheless,
I
go ahead,
I saw
I'm sorry.
some looks of confusion in the crowd, so I just wanted to clarify that it was just reverting back to what we had prior.
Yes, ma'am, that's all it is. We're just reverting back, to the way things were a few years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Hearing none, this meeting is concluded. Thank you.